Hello, this is my Liberty Garden May 5th update. These two are witch hazel plants, and they were both loaded with the witch's hat galls, aphids, and I didn't know. The galls start out whitish to light green, small, and as they get bigger, they turn red, and they look like a witch's hat. They're pointy. So I guess something with the witch hazel. I kind of tried to look into that, but I didn't find why this was called a witch hazel. And I tore the galls off, and some I just took the whole leaf, but you can see that it didn't really hurt the plant to do that. The aphids don't really hurt these plants for some reason. I mean, even though it was loaded, they said that those aphids, even though they're drawing the resources from the plant to survive, the plant doesn't seem to show any harm from it. But the part of the life cycle of those aphids, they can infest river birches, and they've been detrimental to the river birches. And one of the recommendations, if you like river birch, was to find the witch hazel that the aphids were coming from, because it has the strangest life cycle. It's bizarre. If you've got time, look into the witch hazel aphids. Witch's hat aphids. But these have really taken off since I transplanted them to these buckets, because I don't know where I want them. Here's the figs that I did properly. It's supposed to get them when they're like the size of your thumb, but I couldn't throw anything away. So there's some really small ones, but they're doing fine. They're leafing. This one I accidentally pushed over, and it's got roots all around the base. That's another one leafing. So they're doing fine. This was supposed to be parsley. It's not. This will be dinner tonight. We're going to use the lettuce for wraps. And since this was leaking, I thought I'll just stick it underneath there. The faucet spigot. These are the heirloom tomatoes I started earlier this year from seed, and started them out here. I put 3 per bucket, and I transplanted the smaller ones to other buckets. And these are black from Tula, heirloom breed. These are volunteers from our old property, from my daughter's area. She said that they only tossed, they normally buy cherry or grape tomatoes. They don't buy the big tomatoes. And if any of them are bad, they toss them out for the chickens, and these are what came up. So with getting all those chestnut trees that day, I got a bunch of these. These are my favorite right now. They're the Cherokee purples, and it's got some nice sized suckers that I hope to, and some starts there. The only reason to remove suckers from, in case you don't know what suckers are, they grow, here's a little one, see? Anytime a leaf stem comes out, most tomato plants will also get these, and they're called suckers, and they're supposed to be pinched off. You can just literally just pinch it off. I'll show you. That's it. Now, you can root those, especially ones that are like this big. Here, this is a sucker right there, producing its own little suckers and seeds. And I have every intention. That's a sucker here. And the reason to remove suckers is to have less blooms, less tomatoes on a plant. And they produce bigger tomatoes that way. If you don't care about bigger tomatoes and you want a bunch of little ones, leave them. And in case you didn't know, most tomatoes are vines. They're meant to creep around the ground. Only reason we put them in cages was to support the tomatoes so they're not on the ground. I can't remember where I got those. Oh, those are more of my daughter's tomato plants. Now these fig trees I started incorrectly. These were the ends, and I just didn't want to cut them down. They were so thin. You see this one? Did this all wrong. It's leafing. These are kind of the weeds of the fruit tree world. This is actually chickweed. It's a weed, but it's edible. I wanted to get some over here in case I didn't have any growing wild over here. I wanted to get some started. They're actually pretty ground cover too, I think. And this is also another edible henbit. Chickweed, henbit, yeah, something to do with that. And see, all wrong, and it's got the nice little leaf and the henbit in the back of it. You see? They don't mind standing water. They seem to like it, actually. So you can actually put them in a vase and get them started with some rooting hormone and water and get them rooted before you actually put them out into a pot. My herbs. The sage I started from seed. And I'm just going to let them grow like that. I would love to get a permanent herb bed. Eventually that's going to happen. And I would love to have a hedge of rosemary. I cannot have enough rosemary. I think I've got two different kinds. My daughter bought me these two, the stevia and that rosemary. And then I bought the 4-pack of those. And I just love the smell of it. And they have the neatest little lavender, purplish, periwinkle, whatever color blooms that will come out on them. Lemon balm, getting into tea making. And right next door, we had 2 really good days of rain earlier this week, and the big leaves finally popped out. They both seem to have been struggling. Now they're doing well. I will come out probably next week and put some more stuff on top of them, get them going. And I had some volunteer red potatoes that were sprouting in my cupboard. So I planted 3 of them in here. I'm going to add and let it grow upward that way. The poison ivy that I salted in another video, I need to salt again. You can see where it didn't do anything to those because they're all part of one big root system. All that pretty green stuff right there around the cinder block, that's all poison ivy, all of it. A little bit of grape over there, but that all needs to die. It's pretty, but you just don't want that, especially if you got little boys that are very reactive to the oils. Harvested several, maybe a dozen or so, strawberries. And these are the ones that have survived my neglect at the old place. And I may still have some more. I need to go and get some, just not had time to do it. The lettuce bed. I want to get another one started so that I can have a continual thing of freshly grown lettuce. Those are strawberries I bought, and then the other buckets, there's 5 there, are seeds of trees, fruit trees that I've tried. Some apricot, peaches, dates, plums, and persimmons, wild persimmons. Now, all of the transplants have survived except for that one and one that I've got planted maybe. Here's one, the figs that were given to me by a friend, and I planted the 6 that she gave me that were already rooted, well rooted. They were offshoots of a mother plant, so at least I don't have the same clones, basically. These 2 came from the smaller chestnut tree that we like the flavor of the nuts better. It produced bigger nuts, and these all came from the bigger chestnut tree, which produced smaller nuts. And I just didn't bother with the nuts last year because we were so busy with the move, and then we had the flooding, and it was just too much. But I guess it was viable. The nuts were big enough. And then these 2 in this one container are from my mother, so those are some more auntie trees. Now this was the one that we had my husband pulled out of the cinder block, and I think I'm just going to give up on it. We've got so many other ones, but I just hate. It seems to be trying so hard. And chestnuts are the trees that they don't, their leaves don't drop in the fall. The leaves stay like this through the winter, And then in the spring, when the new buds and the leaf buds come out, that's when the leaves fall off. And the big tree that I didn't harvest from, that we got all these seedlings from, has been acting weird the last couple of years. It will drop the leaves in late summer, early fall, and I thought it was dead the first time it did that. And then when it brought leaves back again the next year and produced, it hardly produced any fruit year before last. And then last year it produced fruit, but not very well. So I don't know. I'm still learning. I hadn't lost any of these. I put some mulch. Got some leaves. I need to look in that. I'm not sure if that's powdery mildew or what. These are the pink ladies, the 4 pink ladies, the plum tree. And they got the kiwis. I need to research some more on the kiwis and refresh my memory on stuff. We're producing some more stink bugs, squash bugs. I've been just manually killing them. I need to bring a jar out and do that. But these are nice. I'll be harvesting those soon. And the blooms are edible. And you have to be careful. You need male blooms. They're gender. And you can tell the females will have the showings of a zucchini and the males don't. And you need both to produce. Like this right here is not going to produce a zucchini. But you need that for the females to produce their zucchinis. A little weed patch. I kind of harvest and give it to the goats. Especially the oats that's volunteering here. Wow, look at that. We may get persimmons. Not persimmons, pomegranates. This is a pomegranate tree. I'm so excited. I didn't think I'd get anything this year. May not, but it's okay. A little thrill. Some more zucchini. And what I do is I fill these buckets up to a lot of water that it's going to overflow and pour out. And they water the trees. So they're kind of doing double duty instead of wasting all that manure tea that's coming out. I need to water today since it didn't rain yesterday. So here's a couple of the kiwis. I started them from seed last year. I had more survive, but my neglect killed off several. They drowned because I didn't put proper drainage on them. I don't see any blooms on this one. Let's see, we're getting a lot of zucchini. I did not put that fence post, the vertical up there. I recently bought these and I'm going to make a trellis for this grape system. The previous owner did that, and I'm not sure if this is another wild grape or if this is something that he planted because he took the time to do this, but the trellis got messed up with all the stuff that they had to do to get our home moved in. And then here's the chestnut that I literally split the root in half. The main taproot and the root ball, I thought it was going to go to one side or the other because it had V'd at the very base where the root was coming out. And they both have survived and done well. They've not even looked stressed. The other half is on the way over there. And this is one of the auntie trees that I got from Mom from the same parent trees as the 2 that we had at the old place. So we've been calling them aunties. And kiwi buckets. and it has not done as well as the other ones. I don't know why, but we'll see. Now this was much prettier one before the blooms started dying, and it smells great. I know we got some I think that's jasmine down there. It's not honeysuckle, but or is it? I get the two confused. So I am smelling like that, but this has a very similar fragrance, and it's I think it's a Privet. I'm not sure exactly what kind. And then someone was saying it was a tea olive tree, but if it's a tea olive tree, it's supposed to have kind of sawtooth, like almost like a holly leaf. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn what the heck we have. And I think this is a wild persimmon. I'm excited because I didn't think we had any on our property. Okay, this is what's left of my garden that I started down here. I'm going to bring the truck down here and get these moved. I didn't plant amaranth. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's just in the soil. I planted like here. I need to give it something to grow up on. Some peas. More peas. These have been very neglected since I've been more focused on the ones up there. One sage plant left. Pickling cucumbers. The peas are fighting with the amaranths there. And I planted some more Asian sweet potatoes. Finally. The one I've given up on, that's sprouting there. I've never done it this way, putting them out. These two are still showing. Even though the soil stays moist, these two hadn't sprouted. This one that's completely buried did. I'm just experimenting. I had it and I thought I'd give it a try. I'll pull these out. Don't want the competition in this bucket. But just seeing if I had to start them inside like I do every year, or if I can do something a little different. A lot still to do. But that's the garden update. Trees in the woods. They all seem to be actually doing better. None of them are stressed. The fig trees I didn't bother watering like I was watering the chestnut trees, and they're doing great. The soil is better, especially for the chestnut trees that like the acidic, sandy soil that what we have here, except for where the clay was put on top. So all these need to get moved up to the next tier so it'll be easier for me to water. And I have to do that in the next couple of days, or bring the hose down here and water them. And then all that's got to get taken apart and put back together after I get the shed put up. And I've been trying to learn about mushrooms, but we aren't going to eat any. See, more bricks. I got plenty of bricks to do stuff with, but not enough to do all the stuff I want to do. And those are probably edibles, but it's okay. I'm not going to find out one way or the other. These are suckers for the Pink Lady apple trees, and I had to cut them off, but I thought, what the heck, some growth hormone, see what happens. This one had come out of the water. I didn't realize it, so I don't know if I lost that one completely, but you can see the other ones. We'll see. But I feel like any tree that can do suckers should be able to root. We'll find out. They tend to be very invasive that way. And this is the last bit of my garden. One parsley, the cilantro may be going to seed. I need to go ahead and use them, see what happens. But I thought if I have them inside, maybe they won't go to seed so fast when it's a little bit cooler. And what aloe? I think that's it. That's all my garden for now. Thanks for watching.